Dear friends and colleagues, thank you for the honor of this invitation to address you, which I will use to summarize the report I presented in 2024 to the UN General Assembly on the link between the global water and food crisis from a human rights-based approach. A global crisis that, in the context of current climate change, is more crucial than ever. This link is based on a quadruple reality. Water is irreplaceable in our diet. It is essential in food production. Agro-livestock farming is currently the sector that generates the greatest risks of unsustainability in aquatic ecosystems. And finally, both effective access to drinking water and healthy food are human rights, which are complementary, not competitive. The diagnosis of water and food crisis is often linked to problems of scarcity, justifying new mega projects and unlimited growth strategies that are in fact unsustainable. In particular, current food systems are based on the one hand on the myth that production can grow indefinitely, promoting unlimited expansion of irrigated agriculture based on large dams and water transfers, and on the other hand, on a blind faith that markets will distribute the food produced to those who need it. But today it is very clear, that pure market logic does not guarantee healthy food, sufficient and healthy food for all, but only for those who can afford it, promoting prospects that are as unsustainable as they are unjust. On the other hand, business interests linked to the construction of large hydraulic works, with the energy sector at the forefront, advocate for a new wave of large dams, arguing and manipulating the need to produce more and more food and have more renewable sources of energy without taking into account costs and impacts, justifies, for instance, the flooding of inhabited valleys and the disruption of the sustainability of river ecosystems and river and coastal fisheries, which are, in fact, essential to feed riverside communities at least. In both food production and water management, these powerful corporations, in a context of enormous power imbalance with respect to the affected communities, manipulate arguments and pressure governments to provide huge subsidies to develop their businesses, alleging supposed reasons of general interest. Guaranteeing the human right to food in the face of climate change requires, from my view, addressing two main key environmental challenges. The first is recovering the natural cycles of soil regeneration and fertility. The second is guaranteeing the sustainability of aquatic ecosystems and their fisheries. Regarding soil productivity, the UN currently estimates that 1/3 of cultivated soils are suffering serious degradation of their fertility, which often leads to abandonment, erosion, and finally desertification. It is essential to develop new regenerative agricultural and livestock strategies. Regarding aquatic ecosystems, we cannot continue to manage water as a simple productive input and even less as a commodity. We need to move from the vision of a resource to an ecosystem vision. Rivers cannot continue to be managed as H2O channels, just as forests cannot be managed as wood or timber stores, but as living ecosystems. Only sustainable management that guarantees the good condition of rivers, lakes, wetlands, and aquifers will allow us to have quality water and multiple ecosystem services on which not only the human rights to drinking water and sanitation depend, but also the right to food, the right to health, decent housing, and a healthy and sustainable environment, which, by the way, is also already recognized as a human right. The management of water and aquatic ecosystems, on the one hand, and of food production, soil fertility, and fisheries on the other, cannot be considered simply as a business, as businesses to be managed according to market logic. It is necessary, it is urgent to promote a human right-based approach to water and food governance. This, with regard to the management of aquatic ecosystems and water and sanitation services, as I explained, by the way, to the General Assembly in my 2025 thematic report on democratic water governance under a human right-based approach, requires understanding water as a common good and recognizing aquatic ecosystems as a shared natural heritage belonging not only to us, but also to our children, our grandchildren, and future generations. Regarding food strategies, it is urgent to develop new governance approaches promoting an agroecological transition based on the principles of food sovereignty and regenerative agriculture, including the recovery of inland and coastal fisheries. All of this linked to a water transition that must govern climate change adaptation strategies based on ensuring the sustainability of aquatic ecosystems and their resilience to the extreme phenomena exacerbated by ongoing climate change. Subsidies to current modes of production and consumption total an estimated $540 billion annually. Redirecting this public funding and the massive public subsidies to the construction of large dams to support agroecological and water transitions will allow for healthier, more sustainable, equitable, and efficient food systems. Finally, dear friends, a short reflection. We have the privilege of being part of the university community. Whether we are students or professors, and this privilege, in my view, must be linked to a moral obligation. The obligation to offer our services as researchers, as scholars, as experts in various fields to the society that has given us this privilege, and particularly to those living in poverty and vulnerability. Addressing the global water crisis on the water planet, the blue planet, and ensuring healthy food for all, for the entire population, are challenges that primarily affect the poorest and the most marginalized, in which universities as institutions and students and professors we must take on as human rights defenders. Thank you.